Hi, this is Kavita Suresh Kumar and I'm going to demonstrate how a messaging application running in a WebSphere Application Server container can send and receive messages to a queue manager running in a MQ container. Let us start the demo by launching the Docker Quick Start terminal. The VM already exists and it is coming up. The Docker is configured to use the VM with the name default, and the IP address of the default VM is 192.168.59.104. This is the IP address we'll be using when we access the application running inside the Docker container. Now let us log in to the default VM. Give Docker machine SSH and then the name of the VM, which is the default. Now we are inside the default VM. So let us review the Docker images already available in this VM. Give Docker images. I have already pulled the MQ Advanced image from the Docker Hub. We are going to use this as a base image and add the configuration needed by the application and create a new image. Move to the folder MQ, cd MQ ls. So here we have the Docker file. This is the Docker file which we are going to use to create a new image. Then we have the config.mqc which has the configuration, queue manager configuration. Let us review the config.mqc. Here first we are going to define the local queue Q1. This is the queue to which we are going to send messages and from where we are going to receive the messages. Then we are going to alter the queue manager. We are going to disable the channel authentication because we are not going to use any user ID password to access the queue manager. Then we are going to alter the auth info for the system default auth info information because this is the one which is by default used by the queue manager. Here we have the client check by default required, so we are going to change that to optional. Then we are going to alter the servercon system dev channel with an MCA user MQM. Then we are going to call the refresh security so that the authentication changes which we have made will get picked up. Now let us review the Docker file. So here we are going to use the MQ Advanced image which we have downloaded from the Docker Hub as a base image, and then we are going to copy the config.mqc to /etc/mqm/ so that when the queue manager gets started, these mqc commands will get executed. Then we are going to accept the license. Let us build the new image. Give docker build -t, then MQ, this is the name of the image, and then dot, which indicates the current folder where we have placed the Docker file. So the image has been successfully built. Using the Docker images MQ command, we have reviewed the new image created. Now let us start a container. Docker run --name and MQ is the name of the container, and then we are going to use an environment variable MQ_queue manager_name to specify the name of the queue manager. Then using -p we are going to specify the port association between the port in the container and port in the host, and -d to indicate the container is running in the background, -t and MQ, name of the image. The container has been started successfully. Let us verify that by using docker ps. We could see the MQ container is up and running. Now we are going to create a new Docker image, that is the WebSphere Application Server base Docker image. Let us go to the base folder, cd:/base. In the base folder we have the Docker file and the start.sh script. Let us review the start.sh script. Here we are going to start the application server, and then we are going to monitor for the availability of the server1.pid file. This is the file which is created when the application server is started. Now let us review the Docker file. So in the Docker file, we could see that we are using Ubuntu 14.04 as a base image, and then we are going to install unzip and wget which are required for installation, and then we are going to install the installation manager. Installation manager binaries we have placed in a remote server, so we are going to use wget and download and then install. So similarly, we are going to install the application server version 8.5.5, and we are going to then apply the fixpack 8.5.5.6 over that. Then we are going to create the application server profile. Then we are going to expose the ports for the application server. Then we are going to set the environment variable, then copy the script and then execute permission to the script, and then through the command instruction we are going to execute the start.sh script. That is, when the container starts, start.sh script will be executed. Now let us build the new Docker image. Docker build -t, and then the name of the image, we'll give the name as VASBase, then dot indicates the current folder where we have placed the Docker file. So the image has been successfully built. Actually already I have created an image using this Docker file. So all the layers are available in a cache. So that's the reason when I issued the Docker build, immediately it completed, because it is using all the layers from the cache. Otherwise, since the binaries are in a remote machine, it would take some time to build the image. Since we have all the image layers are in the cache, it got built immediately. Let us start a container using the image we have built. Docker run --name, and we are going to give the name of the container as VASBase. Then we are going to specify the port association 9060 to 9060, and then similarly 9080 to 9080 to access the admin console and application. And then we are going to link with the MQ container which is already running. So --link MQ:MQ and -d to indicate the container is running in the background, and -t and the image name. So the container has been successfully started. So let us verify by giving the docker ps. We could see both the MQ and the VASBase containers are running. Let us review the VASBase container logs. Give docker logs -f --tail = all, and then the container name VASBase. Application server is getting started. Server launched, waiting for the initialization status. The application server 1 started successfully. The process ID is 380. Now let us launch the admin console in the browser. Admin console is launched using the default VM IP address. Admin console is launched successfully. So we have the application server 8.5.5.6. Now let us add the resources needed by the application. Open the resources. Under JMS, select Queue Connection Factories. Select the scope as server scope. Then click New. Select WebSphere MQ messaging provider. Click OK. Then provide the name, myCF1. Provide the JNDA name, myCF1. Click Next. Click Next. Provide the queue manager name as QM1. Then click Next. Provide the host name as MQ. We have linked both the containers using the link name MQ. Then port number 1414. Then click Next. Click Test Connection to test the connection. Connection to MQ is successful. Click Next. Click Finish. Click Save to save the changes. So now let us create the queue. Select the scope as server. Click New. And select WebSphere MQ messaging provider. Click OK. Then provide the name, myQ1. Provide the JNDA name, myQ1. And then provide the queue name as Q1 and the queue manager name as QM1. Click OK. Click Save to save the changes. So we have created the resources. Now let us install the application. Application types. Select WebSphere Enterprise Application. Click Install. Click Browse. Select the messaging application.war. Click Next. Click Next. Click Next. Click Next. Click Next. Provide the context route as messaging. Click Next. Click Next. Click Finish. Application is getting installed. Click Save to save the changes to the master configuration. Now select the application, click Start. The application has been successfully started. The application is running successfully. Now let us launch the application in a browser. So again we are going to use the default VM IP address. The application is launched successfully. Now let us send some test message and check. Test message. Click send. Message test message sent successfully. Now let us receive the message. Message test message received successfully. As part of this demo, we have seen how WebSphere Application Server Docker image can be built from the Docker file, and the container started using that image can be linked to the MQ container. Also, how the application server can be configured using MQ messaging provider to access the MQ queue manager running in the MQ container. Also, we have seen the messaging application running in the application server sending and receiving messages from the queue manager running in the MQ container. Thanks for watching the demo.